Liftoff and the clock has started.
Penis!
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Hey guys, welcome to the 5th episode, 2nd season of Mart. I know we were gone for a week. We decided to take Turkey Day off, and everyone went to their families and stuff, and that's why we're a little short-staffed with hosts. I know Mark is in work.
Covered in cheese, probably.
Carbon cheese, cutting cheese, all the cheeses. And then Nathan is in...
Texas.
Texas.
Good old Texas.
Good old Texas. Before we start doing introductions and stuff, just want to do a quick shout out for our sponsors today, Denver's Best Deals and 2 more on stock. If you need networking or you want to find a place to go hang out for business, come hit those 2 places up.
What were they called again?
Denver's Best Deals, and if you want to actually sign up for Denver's Best Deals, use code ARTMART.
Oh,
and get a discount on cannabis and alcohol and restaurants and bars and even studio time here. Whoa!
Sick.
Yeah, anywho, on this show, I'm one of your hosts, Trip.
I am the other host that's actually here today, Nathaniel.
Nathaniel. And we have a very special guest today who was actually here for our shooting of Calculations of. Mm-hmm. And now she's back as a gourmet baker, right?
Yeah, I definitely am.
So let's have you introduce yourself, tell us a little about you, and how you kind of got started on this baking journey.
Yeah, so my name is Abigail, and I own an in-home bakery called Don't Forget the Sprinkles.
Love the name.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
Too many people forget the sprinkles.
Yeah, it's
Glad
so
you're
true.
raising awareness.
So true. My friends always mess with me, and they're like, I think I will forget the sprinkles. I'm like, well, then you can screw off.
That'd be a good t-shirt.
Yeah,
Don't forget
definitely.
the sprinkles.
Yeah, I actually came up with that name when I was like 10 years old, and it's just kind of stuck since
Really?
then. Yeah.
So you've been like passionate about baking or interested in baking / owning your own bakery since you were 10? Or did it start younger?
Well, maybe
or?
not the latter since I was 10. So, I mean, as like younger kids do, I went through quite an array of dream jobs when I was little.
Fair.
And
Like what?
first thing I wanted to be was a rock star.
Of course.
And then nobody told me that I couldn't sing, so...
Have you heard a lot of rock stars? Singing is not a requirement.
There's computer programs for that now.
Yeah, well, that dream died. and then I was like, oh, maybe I want to be a vet. And then, not to like put a damper on things, but I had one of my puppies pass away in front of me, and then I was like, I can't do this as like a career. Like I would never be able to like keep it together. So that went away. But I grew up in the middle of nowhere in Texas, and it's kind of funny because we didn't get cable until I was about 10 years old. Yeah.
Did you always have indoor plumbing, or was that?
No, we did.
Okay.
He's like, no, we gotta
But
get
no,
that house.
it was probably a good thing because I really loved being outside when I was little, but then we like finally got cable, so I was in front of the TV the whole time, obviously.
Obviously.
And I discovered Food Network, and I started watching a ton of Ace of Cakes with Duff Goldman.
I used to love that show so much.
I am nowhere near to his level as far as like sculpting cakes and all of that, but whenever I would watch that, I was like, wow, I really want to do this. And like I still remember the very first fondant covered cake that I did. I mean, I used like box cake mix. I had my mom buy me fondant, and like I still remember what it looks like, and like I laugh now, but I was so
what did it
proud.
look like?
It was like 2 layers of cake, and then I covered it in white fondant, and there used to be this really popular like polka dot design whenever I was 10 years old. And so I did that all over it in like a ton of different colors, but I was super proud of it, and it's just kind of stuck with me since then. So
Was it like 2 separate like width tiers, or is it just like one?
no, it's one
cylinder?
tier, two layers stacked on each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's crazy. One of the cool things about doing this for this long, podcasting this long with a bunch of different artists, is you start to see like a few similarities with things, and especially like entrepreneurs / artists that we have on here quite often. There's always that moment of they remember their first.
It's always like that
piece.
single catalyst.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. It's like I go back and laugh on it, but like I was so happy about the time.
Oh yeah.
I think that's a huge portion of like what makes us so successful later is like holding on to that. It's like I gotta get better. I gotta do more of
Absolutely.
this.
Yeah.
Right, like holding yourself to some kind of standard to do better later. But you always gotta look back on that kind of shit.
Oh yeah.
I remember the first time I played drums, and I thought it was really good. That was
Right.
I thought it was credible. It's like I'm the next Neil fucking Peart.
Famous drummer for anyone who has no clue who Neil Peart is.
Yeah, he's from Rush. The uncultured swine.
Thank you, Canada.
But no, I asked my parents like 6 years later. I was like, so like how was I at the drums when I first started? And my parents were super nice. And this is probably the meanest thing they could have said. My dad was like, well, son, you weren't good.
Well, son, let me tell you here, son.
That's how my parents always were. They sugarcoated everything.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you make cakes. It's kind of hard not to
Exactly.
sugarcoat them.
Pun intended.
What a sweet situation. There you go, Mark. That was for you.
Shout out for the puns.
Yeah, Mark's always doing like stupid puns all over the place. Right, so we talked a little about your first cake. So what really jump shotted that from that first cake to where you're at right now? Because I mean she brought in some cupcakes for us, which they literally looks like art, and we're gonna post it today on our social media so you can get a little preview.
Yeah.
And we'll have this up on Monday. But literally, if you guys are here, it looks like art.
They looked as good as they tasted.
Oh, thank
which
you.
is saying something because it tasted freaking delicious. I literally cannot overestimate how good it tasted.
Thank you.
Yeah, they look like good. I'm about to suck the frosting off one. Can't have gotten any gluten. Thanks,
no.
Jesus. But yes, what slingshot did you up here?
Yeah, so I mean, going through high school, I was like heavily playing with the idea of going to culinary school. Like, it was just a dream of mine, and I mean, obviously my parents were going to be the ones paying for my college tuition, so
Right.
I need to like make sure it's okay with them because it's not something that's like super financially stable after you graduate, right?
Right, so it's very labor intensive too.
Yeah, that too. So my dad made a deal with me, like get a business degree after your associates in baking and pastry, and then like we should be good. So that was the plan whenever I graduated high school. I went to Johnson & Wales University.
In Rhode Island or Florida or here?
Denver.
Okay.
They actually, I think, recently closed that campus.
I live literally down the street from it.
Yeah.
So, yes, they have recently closed it.
Yeah. I always joke with my friends from college. I'm like, I'm surprised Spirit Halloween didn't take over the campus.
Just put a spirit banner over like the Johnson & Wales sign in the corner there.
But yeah, so I went to Johnson & Wales, and the associate's degree is obviously only 2 years. And, you know, being in just culinary labs where you're hands-on with everything on your feet for 6 hours at a time, I was thinking to myself, like, I can't sit through a bunch of freaking business courses. I can do it. Like, I have the intelligence to do it, but, like, I don't want to.
Did they not have a joint program for like culinary business?
A lot of them aren't like that.
They offered it there,
Right.
but it wasn't, like, an all-in-one sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I almost went to the Johnson & Wales in Miami for a business degree because it was in Miami and it was a school that was like, here, apply for free. So I could have gone
Yeah.
there, but it was like weird trimesters.
Yeah, they have super weird trimesters. But within my baking and pastry program, I had to take an introduction to nutrition course. So I was like, maybe I'll do my bachelor's in culinary nutrition, and then I can be like a registered dietitian as like
Right.
part of like my main career, and then I can open up a bakery whenever I'm ready. And so that's what I ended up doing. I got my bachelor's in culinary nutrition with the intent to become a registered dietitian, which is a whole ass process in itself, by the way.
It's an ass process.
Yeah, no, like you have to finish your
it's a lot.
bachelor's, and then you have to do an unpaid internship for at least 10 months, and then you have to take a national exam, and then you're just kind of a bitch for a couple of years until like you establish yourself.
And even then, when you establish yourself, it's still hard.
And you don't
because
really get paid that much either. Like,
don't.
it's like maybe, I think the max you could probably make is like $80K a year, but you'd start out at probably 50, 60, and it's a lot of work for a little payoff.
Yeah.
But that was my plan when I graduated from college, and I started working an entry-level position at a hospital. And I worked with dietitians like one-on-one, and I was like, I don't want to do this either. Like, like, literally all you do is tell old people that they have to change the diet that they've been on for the last
Eat
40
more
years of their
prunes.
life and give them supplements that they're not going to take. So I was like, this is not ideal. And, like, granted, there are several different areas of nutrition that you can be a registered dietitian. I mean, you don't have to do clinical, you can do athletics, which was not something that I particularly wanted to do. You can also do, like, spas and resorts, but I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be happy doing this, and that's really important to me. It's more important to me than any sort of income that I can bring in, is being happy with what I'm doing. But baking has always been something that I've come back to, and I realize how big of a part of me it is. Because after I quit that job, and also I was pregnant at the same time. So, and yeah, so like the plan was, like, after I, had the baby, not going to go back to that hospital job. Just figure out what I'm going to do in my quarter life crisis.
Oh, those are fun.
Yeah.
I have many of them.
Yeah. And my husband, Josh, was actually like, why don't you just open up, like, a home bakery, see how it goes? And I was like, it wouldn't hurt. Like, if it fails, it fails. No one has to know about it. Like, whatever. Like,
sweep it under the carpet.
Exactly.
Low key.
But it's actually taken off really well. Like, a
That's
lot
awesome.
better than I ever would have imagined that it
This
has.
is a great time to plug your business.
Yeah.
You have websites, Instagram, anything.
Yeah, website is don'tforgetthesprinkles.com.
That's easy.
Yeah, as is Instagram at Don't Forget the Sprinkles. My Facebook one is DFT Sprinkles.
DFT.
I actually have a really
DTF.
funny story about that. So I had tried, like, this in-home bakery thing in Texas.
Okay.
And because I would go home for the summer, for, like, those 3 months of summer, and I would try to, like, make cakes for people, make a little bit of money. And I finally decided to, like, make a website and a Facebook page and an Instagram and all of that. And at the time, Instagram and Facebook, and I think Facebook is still this way because I haven't been able to change it, but you could only have so many characters in your handle.
Yeah.
So I had to, abbreviate it to DFT Sprinkles.
DFT.
And we were visiting family once, and one of my aunts came up to me and she was like, yeah, I didn't realize that Instagram page was you. I thought it was some kind of porn page because it said DFT Sprinkles. And I was like, oh my God.
Did they just read DFT as, like, DTF?
Exactly.
You might get an email in the next few years like, we want to buy your domain.
But yeah, it's don'tforgetthesprinkles.com. Don't Forget the Sprinkles on Instagram. And you can probably just search Don't Forget the Sprinkles on Facebook as well.
We'll put a hyperlink into the profile or the description for the podcast, so we want to click it right there too. So make
Perfect.
it a little easier on you folks, so you guys can see these amazing baked goods.
You really have to.
The honestly, they're pieces of art.
Thank you.
Honestly,
It's
pieces
edible art. There's not enough art you can eat, if we're being honest.
I think that's, like, the best part of culinary arts and baking arts is you create art that you can actually, like, consume.
It's enjoyable in multiple different dimensions. It looks aesthetically good. It tastes amazing, and every time I chewed on a Picasso piece, it didn't taste too good.
Yeah.
And then you just get, like, hit by the cops as you're, like, eating a Picasso. They don't much care for that.
It's just, like, so
You're just getting, like, tased, and it really ruins the whole experience.
I fucking hate billy goat clubs, the little batons. I hate those things.
They still use mahogany, which is a shame. It hurts too much.
It smells of rich mahogany.
But that's the cool thing, especially about, like, culinary arts, is that it kind of fulfills almost all the senses.
Oh,
in
yeah.
that it's just visual, and it's, like, physical tasting, and even smell, and just, like, every single sense is being stimulated by it. And that doesn't happen with a lot of mediums.
Yeah.
And yours especially. The vanilla chai, which is the one I had right before recording. I ate the whole thing in, like, 2 bites. It was so good. Because it's, like, not a just overly sweet cupcake. It has, like, such intricate flavors.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't taste like a cupcake that you get from, like, Walmart, because
it has flavor other than sugar.
Other than sugar, yes.
It's not processed.
Exactly. I make everything from scratch.
Well, there's something I wanted to kind of dive on a little bit, what you said was kind of interesting. You were talking about how you couldn't do both at the same time, like the business and the the baking was kind of hard. Like I wanted to do one.
Yeah,
one
two
or the
different
other.
worlds, two different sides of the brain.
Yeah, and I heard this quote when I was like in bands and stuff in high school and a little bit in college. It's like you need to focus on one thing or the other. You know, one thing's going to roll over. And I was focused on college and music, and college rolled over it. I think anyone listening to this right now, if you're really passionate about something, you should just dive headfirst into it and consume your entire time to become a master at it.
Yeah.
But I also do understand that in your 20s, you have a bunch of life crises trying to figure out what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish, what you
Student
want to be.
loans.
Student
A whole lot of
loans.
student loans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I mention student loans?
Well, and like starting a business itself takes income. It takes some kind of money to start it up.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, a lot of people that are trying to start their own businesses, and especially artists trying to start, you don't make a lot starting out.
No.
It takes a long time to establish yourself, establish clientele, networking, and especially social media.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not doing stuff that's aesthetically pleasing or whatnot, you're not gonna blow up. And obviously, you've done pretty well. Has the past year been really good for you?
Yeah, it has. My first major platform was Nextdoor. Have you guys ever heard of that?
Yes, I've heard
Oh,
that.
how was this your first major
No, it's
platform?
funny because usually when you think of Nextdoor, it's like, oh, someone lost their cat,
It's
or
just like
someone
people complaining.
broke
that,
into
oh,
my
the
garage.
neighbors,
Exactly.
I don't like
it's
my
just
neighbors.
like the typical suburban people. And
Great clientele for you though.
oh yeah, I know. You just post on there like, hey, I have an in-home bakery. Like, if you guys want to order anything, let me know. And you just post some pictures on there. It like
And it
blew up. On
That's
Nextdoor.
amazing, actually.
And
I'm so impressed by that.
yeah. And you know, more recently, like after you establish kind of your base, what's really nice about food is that people love to talk about food. So it's so
Yes.
easy to get referrals, especially when you're mostly handling suburban moms who have kids and they know all the other moms that their kids go to school with. Like that's my
Right.
major target is moms, just
Well, a lot
because
of
they all have kids and kids have birthdays every year and they know other moms. So
Kids do have birthdays every year.
exactly.
and more of all of us nowadays are outsourcing things for everything. Like, you know,
Yeah.
groceries are delivered to your front door nowadays. Like,
Yeah.
everything's more convenient, and I think that that's an awesome target market for you to have for your business, because like, you know, they want good food that they can present and share off to their other house moms.
Oh yeah,
And brag
moms
to the
love
other
moms
moms.
love to brag. I can
Yes.
vouch for that.
Absolutely. Because if you can have the best birthday party for your kid on the block, then of course everyone has to keep like
Oh yeah, you
one-upping
just
each
win
other.
at being a mom at
Yes,
that
of
point.
course.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's the same kind of things like that. My parents didn't do a ton of cooking at all.
Mm-hmm.
They're both working a lot and whatever. My mom decided to make me a Coca-Cola cake once for my 10th birthday.
Oh, I love
Was
soda
it Coca-Cola
cakes.
flavored?
It was Coca-Cola flavored, and she was like 5 hours into it. She like finished it. She was like, "Don't ever ask for this again."
How did it come out? Do you remember? Was it good?
It was so good.
Oh, good. Okay. That's worth
Did she use like the white cake and then poke holes in it and pour the Coke over it?
Yep.
Yeah, my mom used to do the same kind of cake but with strawberry soda.
Oh,
So
like
good.
sheer
Wait,
wine?
strawberry soda? That's
yeah,
a thing?
I don't remember what brand it was, but
Oh man, this is bringing back some memories.
yeah.
So it just tasted like strawberries? Was
Yeah,
it
it's like strawberry soaked white or vanilla cake, and then she would make like this whipped cream vanilla pudding frosting for the top.
Oh.
I would ask it for my birthday every year.
So
So
were your
good.
parents like big influences on you for this then?
Yeah, I mean, my mom would bake a lot like during the holidays. Like we would always make like sugar cookies and all that good stuff, and she'd let me help her. But I really still think my like biggest influence was Food Network.
Of course.
Shout out to Duff Goldman.
If you stop to be listening to us, Mr. Ace of Cakes.
He comments on it, was like, "Follow your dream."
Yeah.
I hope so. I hope so. Listen to this. Where does he live?
New Jersey? Upstate New Jersey?
Well, his bakery used to be in Baltimore.
Oh, Baltimore.
But I don't know.
I was confusing with the Cake Boss.
That's right,
That
it
was
Baltimore.
Yeah, they're very different.
Yeah,
I'm
very
actually
different.
not a huge fan of Cake Boss.
it. No, because he was a douchebag. He was.
There's a difference in shows.
Yes.
Huge difference in shows. Like they even had a Duff on Ridiculousness once, and even a giant scorpion cake.
Ooh.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
You gotta go back.
I
and
used to watch
Ridiculous.
Ridiculousness all the time. I haven't even seen that episode. That's
It was
crazy.
One of like the first ones, like, you know, the big thing for Ridiculousness is every time you scorpion, like you fall on your face, your legs go over your head,
Yeah.
like a scorpion. And he built like this
A scorpion cake?
or baked this. It was a scorpion. It was literally a black
Yeah.
scorpion. It was edible.
It's insane what he can do. nowhere near that, but.
What's been your favorite, I don't know, project or cake or deal that you've done since you started?
And least favorite.
Yeah, I've actually been thinking about this because most people when they contact me, they want the custom cakes, which is my favorite thing to do. It's so much fun. And I've made so many different ones. I did make a recent one that I really liked. It was a baby shower, but it was Alice in Wonderland themed. And so I made the Mad Hatter's top hat in baby pink, and I put like a Queen of Hearts card on it and a pocket watch and a rose on top. That one turned out really nice.
That sounds really freaking cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
Is that on Instagram?
Yeah, it is. It's one of my more recent pictures on there.
So that's been your
Easy to find.
favorite, or just stands out the most?
Yeah, I'd say so. Least favorite? I'm a perfectionist, and I'm very hard on myself.
Right.
I'm my biggest critic.
Confectionist.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Someone's got to fill in for me.
Someone has to fill really bad jokes.
Least favorite? Gosh, I don't know. I've had my fair share of baking fails. I tried to make French macarons last year, which I don't know what it is, but I have the worst luck with them. I know that they're not
It's
the
the
easy.
altitude.
Yeah, I was thinking that too because I've made them in Texas before and they turned out like perfect. And I even tried to like adjust the recipe and it's not.
The altitude definitely has an influence in everything that we do.
Oh yeah.
Everything.
Breathing.
Especially, so we have some Ireland, Norwegian, and Belgium listeners, and they're all at sea level pretty much.
Are they? I don't know the topography of Europe off the back of my hand.
Well, I know every single ridge because I'm totally been there.
I'm not familiar.
But yeah, so we everyone listening, we live literally a mile up. From sea
It's a
level.
mile high city. They don't call that because everyone's just high all the time. It's
In
actually
Castle
a mile
Rock,
high.
I think we're like even
higher,
1,000 feet, at least 1,000 feet higher, I think, than
What?
Denver. Yeah. So
That's the thing that, like, once you live in Denver, you think Denver's already pretty high, and then, like, you go to any, like, mountain town, and you're at, like, 12,000 freaking feet.
Yeah.
And moving makes you out of breath.
Yep.
So was that a big struggle starting your baking journey in Denver with how different the altitude and humidity is from, like, central Texas?
Yes. So my chocolate cake recipe I've had since I was in high school. And that cake recipe is freaking amazing because I've never had to altitude adjust it before. And, usually with making cakes, like there's a specific mixing method. Everything has to be a specific temperature. I mean, it's very scientific.
science.
Yeah, exactly.
It's calculated. Everything's calculated.
Yes, and you have to follow the recipe. But with this chocolate cake, it's so laid back. Like I don't even have to try that hard to make it perfect, and it just turns out the way it's supposed to, and I love it so much.
What kind of cake is it?
It's a regular chocolate cake. I don't want to give away my secrets.
No, don't give away. No secrets on here.
Not just the ingredients. Just, was it like what kind of cake?
What do you
Chocolate
mean?
Cake. Chocolate and cake.
I think the best. What's like the best way, I guess, to describe it as a podcast listener to imagine? Because I just think of like a basic chocolate cake with like chocolate frosting. Is it just that simple?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But but vanilla cake.
That's
is
harder.
The spawn of Satan.
Really?
Yeah. So it took me forever to develop a vanilla cake recipe, and I finally crafted this beautiful vanilla cake recipe last year, and I was living in Aurora at the time.
Okay.
So different altitude than Castle Rock where I am now. But I tried to make it for the first time, I think last week or the week before in Castle Rock, and it turned into this, the top would be normal, but when you flipped it out of the cake pan, it was gummy on the bottom, completely inedible, and I'm like, what the actual fuck is going on? I was so irritated, and I would try, I was like, maybe I'm not being perfect enough with this, so I tried it again, same thing would happen. So last night I was like, I'm just going to do my altitude adjustment formula. Hopefully it works, and it worked, so thank God. So that's
sweet.
what it was, but I mean, it's a lot more temperamental than like chocolate cake is, at least in my experience.
So like when you're coming up with like these recipes and stuff like that, like you, obviously when you're testing recipes out, you have to like write all the measurements down.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have like books and books full of shit that you just had to do like trial error?
No, usually if it's not good, I don't keep it, because if I'm like a messy, organized kind of person.
Same.
So
Typical artist.
if I keep anything and like find it later, I'm like, oh, what's this? Make it, and it turns out like ass. Then I'm like, okay, I need to throw this away. So I usually just get rid of it before I even cause that problem for myself.
I'm just thinking like all the work that goes into on the measurements and trying to keep that straight, and the ones that do work and don't work, and it's like it's gotta be fucking insane.
Yeah, and it's interesting because usually whenever something doesn't work out, there's different. It's usually happening for a specific reason. Sometimes there can be multiple reasons, but you can usually figure out what you did wrong in that process. So if a cake does turn out really dense, and it normally doesn't, if you're not, changing altitudes, you can probably guess that you either added too much liquid or you mixed it too long. So there's different ways to kind of figure out how can I make this a little bit better.
So that's all just through experience, right?
I learned most of that in school. I did have to do like a really short, like 3-month internship within my baking program, and I learned a ton from that. I feel like I learned more through that than school, honestly.
It usually tends to happen.
Yeah. And, honestly, if anyone is interested in going into either culinary or baking, I would recommend not doing culinary school, honestly. I feel like most
You hear that a lot from people.
Yeah. I
in
mean,
school.
I've known people that I graduated with that are graduating with like 80, 90, 100K in debt, and unless they like really like open up their like a new restaurant and it like flourishes, like they may not never be able to pay off that debt just with like the income that comes with being like a line cook or an intern or whatever it is. I mean, it's just not logical.
What would you suggest they do?
Just get in as early as you can. Like you can start being a cashier at a bakery, where line cooks are hiring all the time.
Right.
Even if you start out in fast food, it's something. You're still in the food industry. You're gonna learn a good amount of the basics there, and then just move up.
That's really interesting. So to let everybody know, we have a live audience. There might be a child or two.
My kid.
We'll label Josh as a kid too.
My tiny terror.
Tiny terror.
Tiny and big.
What tends to, or I don't even know if it's just something that like pops into your mind when you're dreaming like Doc Brown style, but what is your influence for like new flavors or new ideas? Or do you just riff off of things you already know?
I'll do that sometimes. Or if, I've heard of a flavor that I really want to try, I'll just make it and see how it turns out, and sometimes they'll just come to me.
Right.
I've used Pinterest before as well, like, because I have my basic, like, 30-something flavors on my website, and then every season I switch out seasonal flavors. So I try to make them as closely as possible to the season.
Yeah, so to promote what you're doing right now, you made seasonal flavors for us today,
I did,
right?
and I haven't released them yet. I'm going to be releasing them the 1st of December. But it's hot cocoa, which is a chocolate cake, a marshmallow filling, and a hot cocoa buttercream. And then we have vanilla chai, which is a vanilla cake and a chai frosting.
It's absolutely freaking delicious.
And then
He's still smiling.
It's so good.
And then I did berries and cream, which is a vanilla cake, vanilla buttercream, and fresh berries on top. And then a mocha caramel chocolate cupcake.
Ooh.
So it's chocolate cake, caramel filling, espresso buttercream, and then a caramel drizzle on top.
I'm gonna break my little stint of not eating dairy or gluten.
Just to burn yourself. Without giving away like any trade secrets, what's your current like white whale of a dessert or flavor or style? Something that like you keep trying to make and it just will not work out.
French macarons.
That's it. That
yeah.
is your white whale, is the French macaron.
And like I love them so much because they're so pretty if they turn out, and then you can yes, and you can do so many different things with the flavors. I mean, you can with cake too, but it's a little bit easier with a French macaron. But yeah, those little bitches just won't turn out for me. It's like kind of going back a little bit when I was first starting out, to get bigger on Instagram, I was doing giveaways.
Okay.
So I would, post like a little graphic, like giving away like free cupcakes is the first one I did, like, comment, share, follow.
Right.
For the amount of entries.
Tag 3 friends,
yeah.
etc.
And I would do that for 2 days. Second day I would post a picture of the actual cupcake so people would know what they're winning, so more people would enter.
Well, this is smart.
Yeah, and so I gained a huge following on Instagram because of that. Not huge, but I gained them really quickly. Yeah. And the final giveaway that I was going to do, because I did cookies as well, but I was going to do French macarons because I was like, people are going to love this shit.
Right.
And I had to cancel the giveaway because I couldn't. I spent 2 days trying to make the freaking batter the right way and get it to bake the right way, and it just...
Well, I've been waiting to ask this question. It was the right time the whole podcast. But do you feel like it's made you a better baker in total?
Oh, absolutely.
Because you've done stuff in a lower altitude versus what you're doing here? Because I feel like a lot of us are transplants here.
Yeah.
Like a ton of people are
Right.
transplants.
No one in Denver is from Denver.
Yeah, and when they do, they're all like, oh, yeah,
They have 17,000 stickers on their car bragging they're from here.
Yeah, from Denver, whatever. Do you feel like that experience from having to adjust that has made you a better baker in general?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you think about it, there are athletes that live at sea level that come and train in Denver so that they're stronger when they go back to sea level. So it's the same thing.
So basically, we're the toughest city on the planet.
Yeah.
To nerd
Maybe,
out.
yeah. And I mean, also, like, Texas is really humid. So Texas has its things where it's really hard to adjust to it with, like, the humidity. Like, I made my little brother, he graduated from high school earlier this year, and he wanted a cake with Post Malone on it. And so I got an edible image, and I put it on some fondant to make it stand.
Right.
And I could not get that thing to dry because it was so humid there. So I ended up having to like put a piece of cardboard on the back of it just so it would stand up. Because usually here, like you leave it out for like an hour and it's like rock solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ready to go.
So it's pretty much everything you had to learn how to adjust for in Texas, the opposite here.
Pretty much.
Well, I think it's kind of cool because like you've had to push yourself kind of harder than other culinary artists out there because you've had 2 different temperaments to work with, and your recipes are changing constantly, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because of that.
Yeah.
And I think like I hope anyone's listening to this like wants to do something like this is challenge yourself, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Challenge yourself to do harder and better things so you get yourself better.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
I hope to God you come up with some macaroons soon, so you'd be like, I got it, finally.
The day will come.
The day will come, yeah.
Is there a certain flavor you're working towards for them? Or
I've literally just been trying to get the base down, because once you get the base down, you can, mess with it, but...
does flavoring affect the batter in terms of baking?
If you add
something
too
like that?
much, like if you add like a whole bottle of lemon extract, which I wouldn't recommend anyway, it's definitely going to affect the way it bakes. But yeah, that definitely has a play in it.
So we're getting towards the end of the podcast-ish, and one of the big things that we want to do to give back is someone else maybe in your situation 5 years ago, right? What advice would you give someone trying to get into your stream of art?
Yeah, I mean, I would say get as much work experience as you can, or even just practice at home. If you have a mom as great as my mom was, who just buys you baking ingredients when you're in middle school and high school and just watches all of her money get thrown in the trash can because it didn't, turn out right, just do it, just practice as much as possible. Get your foot in the door, even at like a basic level. Try to do an internship. If you want to go to baking and pastry art school, do it. Just realize that it might not be necessary. And if you're thinking about starting an in-home bakery, start with your family and friends. Have them be perfectly honest with you. I do this to my husband every time I make a new flavor. I'm like, Tell me exactly what I need to do to make this perfect. Like, what does it
He's-
need more of something? Does it need less of something?
He's brutally honest.
Yes, he is.
In
And
a
like, just
good
make
way.
people, just make people
Hopefully.
be brutally honest with you. And, once you really establish yourself, one mistake that I made when I first started out was not charging people enough. Because
Happens a lot.
especially with artists, because you're like, well, like, am I really worth this much? You are worth that much. This is like, it's not just the cost of the ingredients, it's the cost of your time.
Yep.
Right.
And I would make the mistake of, perfecting things too much where I was spending money instead of making money. So just make sure you're being aware of that. And if somebody doesn't want to pay for your worth, then just let it go. Because I've made that mistake before too.
That is honestly excellent advice. Excellent advice. Anyone listening, like the entrepreneurial side, what I'm gonna say is like, do your cost analysis. How much does everything cost for you to make it? And then put your time into it. Minimum
Yeah.
wage is $15 an hour.
Yep.
If you're doing that much, at least give yourself that. On top.
And a whole lot more, because if you start by devaluing yourself in the beginning, that's a really hard rut to get out of.
Exactly.
100%. What about like social media and your website? What's really like, you said like home door, right? Was that the
Next door.
Next door.
Think about homies and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you live in a neighborhood where next door is huge, try it out. I mean, I really didn't think people would be super up for an in-home bakery during COVID, but they were. They were super excited about it. And then, I would recommend doing giveaways on Instagram if you have the money to do that. It really gets your name out there. And then as long as you have a really good product, it kind of just takes off from there because it is food.
Right, food is.
So I get referrals all the time. So I don't really have to put in as much effort into marketing right now as I did at the beginning, which is
Right.
really nice.
Because you invested time to begin with.
Exactly.
So it could flourish later.
Yeah.
You tend to plant really nice to begin with, and it's going to flourish flowers later.
Yep.
But it's just a little time every day, right? You can put a little time into it,
It's that intentional effort.
Yeah.
It's a compound effect. You do a little bit, a little bit every day. If I practice guitar for 5 minutes a day for an entire year, I'm gonna be pretty decent by the end of the year. And I think that everyone should be doing that, especially their social media, trying to get their art business up. I know a lot of listeners right now they do painting, ceramics, whatever, baking. That doesn't matter. Put a few minutes into it every day. Social media, like interact with other
Especially
other
social
artists.
media. Because it
Yes.
is a worldwide reach.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
Literally.
Definitely
And
is.
we're hoping that you get orders from like the Netherlands and stuff from this.
I
Are
wish
you
I
set
could
up?
ship. I can't ship.
Oh.
Ship?
No.
That's gonna make it one more.
It's what the frick's it saying? Like you can't have it. Never mind me. But I was actually gonna ask that if you have to adjust your recipes if you're like shipping to another state, that's a heck of a lot more humid and a whole lot lower. But you're still like mostly in the Denver metro.
Yeah,
area.
yeah. I usually work within like a 30-mile radius. I don't have a lot of people contact me outside of that radius because they know I'm not going to deliver there, and they sure as shit don't want to drive all the way to Castle Rock to pick up from me. So, which is fine because it is what it is. But yeah, Denver metro area.
Maybe we can
Castle Rock
help you
area.
out and have a drop-off point here.
That'd be cool.
Have a
Yeah.
Dropbox area.
Well, yeah, we'll help you out. Help you out if you want. You probably don't want to do that every day. Like going back and forth, dropping things off. But we'll help you out. We'll have a drop-off point, 1,000 Spear and Golden Triangle. You want to pick up some baked goods and help Abby
It's in the
out.
back alley.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll help you out as much as we can. Give another shout out again to our sponsors, Denver's Best Deals. Use code ARTMART in the Denver's Best Deals website so you can get some discounts on marijuana, liquor, and studio time here if you want to. And then if you're an entrepreneur, come out to Two Morons Talk, where we just hang out, network, and we have little speeches every week. Obviously, you guys in Europe, Canada, Chile, and everyone else is not going to come to that, but
They can. It's open to everyone.
we'll have live videos so you can chime in. Yeah, make sure you guys are following us on Facebook, Instagram. We're even on LinkedIn right now.
Find us on Patreon. Patreon.
Patreon.
That's French. Unlike the macarons.
Oui, oui. Oui, oui. Make sure you guys are following us on Audible, Spotify. Link for to drop on Amazon Prime.
Ooh,
Prime and
Amazon
that.
Prime.
We're on Amazon Prime for a few weeks now.
Oh shoot.
Yeah, we're on Amazon Prime now.
Neat.
Or Amazon Music, sorry. It's the same thing, though. Same.
Everything's
Same
Amazon
difference.
at some point.
Same thing. It's all Jeff Bezos. He has a little penis-shaped rocket.
That was weird shit.
His rocket does look like a dick. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. We're sorry that we
listening.
missed Wednesday's episode because we were all eating turkey.
There was a holiday going on. We're not that sorry we missed.
But you know, we're international podcasts. Like, not everyone.
A lot of my international friends like still kind of like low-key did stuff for it too, because it's an excuse to gorge yourself full of food. It's
Does
hard to
not make
pass
us
that.
so good as Americans. But Abby, thank you so much for coming and bringing us these cupcakes. Make sure you're following her all over. Don't forget springrolls.com. They'll have a link in the description. Follow her Instagram, Facebook, and everywhere else. And if you're looking for a good porn site, make sure you're up for the domain.
Right. DTF sprinkles.
DTS Sprinkles.
This is the other site.
It's worth at least $10,000. So make sure you're ready.
Self-evaluation.
Make sure you're ready to drop 10K on this amazing domain. And if you're looking to pick up baked goods in Denver, we'll have a drop-off point here for her to help her out. Just come say hi to me and poop in my toilet. Love it. Bring your own toilet paper. Peace!
BYOTV.